Alright everyone, welcome to Deep Dive with Dogs. Today we're going to kind of talk about some of the better speeches of American history, or like their inspiration to a nation. Oh, that rhymed. Not intended. But it kind of got spurred on because I was looking at some stuff about John F. Kennedy, and it's been about, 1961, so now 50 or so years. A little bit over actually 50 years at this point. Yeah, almost 60. Jeez almighty. It's been 60 years since John F. Kennedy has given his "We will go to the moon" speech. A long time. But it is one of the more inspiring speeches. So I was just looking at that and I was like, oh, what about some other speeches throughout American history? Um, some, obviously, we have visual recording of, like we would choose to go to the moon. But others, not so much. Really, one of the first ones is George Washington's farewell speech. His farewell speech is one that the country never took heed very well of it, but really should have. Maybe John Adams, the second president, probably did. You know, he very much respected Washington in many ways, and kind of a little bit of a different kind of guy at his time, but as well. But Washington's speech at the end of his first term, or his second term, my bad, his farewell speech, it talks about how you shouldn't get inter, caught up in European wars. You shouldn't get caught up in alliances that only will harm the nation. America should be very much standing on its own. And now he didn't say anything about like, oh, you shouldn't have like trade or things like that. Some people would take it that way, but that's not what he meant. He meant more. It shouldn't get entangled in things that do not directly benefit the United States. Because why? I mean, why should you? Um, and obviously there are many benefits that for the United States in different ways, but um, there have been a lot of alliances that Washington himself would have been kind of sad that the nation went that way. Certain things like uh, don't get involved in European wars. The first, the First World War being one of those examples, and the Second World War, it's a little different. Japan is more so to blame for us getting into that war. So you could say the Zimmerman telegram with Germany, but realistically, there were certain things the United States was doing that led it to war there. With Japan, there was as well, but it was a different nature, kind of. But it's one of those very important speeches. Another very important speech, of course, is Lincoln's uh, Emancipation Proclamation, or his Gettysburg Address. Actually, that's probably the better one. Most people are probably taught the Gettysburg Address. I know I was. I don't necessarily remember by heart anymore, but I once did. And it is really a great speech that's very quick, especially because let's just say Lincoln had someone else speaking that day. Not a quick speaker, but it is what it is. Um, but Lincoln, he definitely knew how to use words in such a way that would help make everyone kind of understand. And just another president, it's like you really wish we would have listened to him, and we could have. But we didn't necessarily. Um, and then there's a few other speeches, but obviously I talked about John F. Kennedy, but um, just interesting to think that a lot of these presidential speeches, sometimes we don't listen to them. A lot of times we don't actually. Lincoln you kind of listen to, but Washington, his speech and what he said the nation should do got basically completely thrown out, more or less by the second president right after him. John Adams did keep up some of the things Washington said, but not a lot. And Thomas Jefferson, that shit was gone real quick. But yeah, it was gone real quick, you know, and it's just interesting to think. Lincoln, his speech was listened to, but it's kind of a little bit later, before after him. During his time, a lot of people would have kind of ignored him, would have found his uh, speech kind of patronizing. A lot of people would have, at least at the time. And then the speeches of the 20th century, things like FDR and stuff like that. It was almost like the presidents were trying to give speeches to make themselves remembered. Whereas before, presidents did make speeches and they did and things like that, but they didn't try to always make like a grand speech. They tried to make something like, hey, you know, talk to the American people and things like that. But it seems after a while, obviously the showboating, which is a lot what it is now, has definitely kind of taken over. But what can you do, I guess? But that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If everyone wants to improve these videos, leave a comment down below. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.